Let's make some 3D pumpkin drawings because it's fall, y'all. We're going to be using some very simple materials. Your orange paper needs to start out horizontal, not vertical. Horizontal like that, and write your name on one side with a pencil. This will be the back. We're going to turn it over after that, and this will be the front or the side we're doing our drawing. When we look at a real pumpkin shape, it is actually a form or a 3D object. So we're going to be making it look like a form today by adding those curved lines of the pumpkin and making several parts of the pumpkin to show the side of the pumpkin and the front to make it look more 3D. We're using an oil pastel, and I like to practice a skinny oval in the center so that I can be more successful when I'm drawing mine because I'm drawing it with an oil pastel, not with a pencil. I'm going for it. After we make a skinny circle in the center, we're going to draw a dot on the top and a dot on the bottom. This will help us make our first curve. And notice I'm practicing a stretched out letter C to make my pumpkin really round. Not a skinny letter C, but like a stretched out one. So I'm giving that pumpkin more of a stretched out shape. Like that. I start at the top dot and then I go around to the bottom dot. That will help me make my lines in the right place, and it'll make my pumpkin look symmetrical because I'm doing the same thing on the left as I'm doing on the right. Then I'm going to draw another one, but this time I'm ending in a different spot, not on my dot, because when I look at the curve of the pumpkin, they don't all look like they go to the bottom. To make it look more 3D, I'm starting my C curve on the top of the dot, and then look, I'm stopping right there at the bottom of my second pumpkin shape, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. If your lines don't come to the bottom exactly where they're supposed to be, it's okay because all pumpkins are unique. Now, 2 vertical lines that are short and then a stretched out or a smushed oval for the stem. Just make sure your wrist is not laying in oil pastel when you're drawing to keep it as clean as possible because these can be messy. Now, my favorite trick, I'm going to go around and I'm making all of my lines thicker. I'm just coloring a little bit to make my lines thicker. Since lines can be thick or thin or in between, I'm showing variety, and it'll make my pumpkin more 3D with a special trick that I'm going to show you in a second. So now I'm just going to color over all of my lines, and don't forget about your stem lines by making a little bit thicker line. Don't go crazy and make a whole new shape and don't color it in. You're just making your lines thicker. So your pumpkin should still be empty on the inside. Whoops, I went off of my line, so just be careful. If you do it, it's okay. Just go with it. So the top of my line right there is going to be a little thicker than the bottom, and that's all right. So making sure all of my lines are just a little bit thicker. I'm not getting my wrist in drawings though, so lift it up when you need to. Now I'm going to use my drawing hand. It's already dirty, so I'm going to use it for this special trick. I'm going to place my finger, one finger on one of the lines, and then I'm dragging my finger to the center of the paper. I'm dragging my finger to the center of the paper, and you should see streaks of black lines. It almost looks like a shadow, and we're making our pumpkin look more 3D, more round by giving it shadows. If nothing happens when you drag your finger to the center, you can color a little bit more of your oil pastel. It just maybe need to have a little bit more on it. Notice that the hand I'm not drawing with stays nice and clean because I'm using my left hand. I'm not drawing with my left hand, and I'm using that hand to keep my paper still, because when I drag my finger like this, my paper can turn around sometimes and I'll lose grip of it. Now, remember, you're dragging your finger towards the center of your pumpkin or in the direction of that very first oval we made. All of our lines on the left side are going in the same direction, and all the lines on the right side are going in the same direction to make it look symmetrical. Turn your paper if you need to really get in those areas so you don't get your wrist resting in oil pastel. And I'm going to keep going until all of my lines have some form to them or shadow to make my pumpkin look like it's dark in some areas. When the light hits some areas, they're going to be lighter areas and darker areas. So I'm showing value. In art, value means the lightness and darkness of objects or colors. So I'm definitely showing some dark spots and some light spots. I love it. It's dark on those oval lines, and then it looks light in the center or in the middle of each shape. And don't forget about your stem. Just drag your finger towards the center of your stem so that it looks the same as the rest of it. Awesome. I just love it. Now I'm going to do another one super fast so that you can have another set of directions so you can do your pumpkin successfully. You may be able to do more than one. Remember, name on the back, paper horizontal. We start with an oval. Practice it first. Nice skinny oval in the center and a dot on the top and the bottom. Then we make a stretched out letter C on both sides. Starts at the dot, ends at the dot, and then the next line doesn't quite go to the bottom dot. It goes on the side of your second oval. And do same on both sides, 2 vertical lines and a squished oval for a stem. Then go back over your lines, make them a little bit thicker. Don't go crazy. And then you're ready to do your shadow trick. Drag your finger from the line to the center of the pumpkin. Do that on all the lines. Keep one hand completely clean. Only one finger is for this shadow trick. Now, to make your pumpkin even more colorful, I'm using some oil pastels that are cool colors. That's blues, greens, and violets. And I'm making just some patterns. I'm making dots, but you can make spirals, zigzag lines, wavy lines, whatever you want. I'm just drawing some very simple dots, polka dots around my pumpkin, and I use the cool colors, or you can use the warm colors. So choose one tray of oil pastels. The warm colors are going to be your pinks, reds, oranges, and yellows, and I'm doing kind of a loop-de-loop line on this one. So you can choose just one kind of pattern to make your pumpkin just a little extra special by adding some variety and some color in the background or the empty space. Have fun.